Hi, this is Brianna, and this is my painting, Cosmic Coffee. This painting is about creative flow and about practicing self-care through creating without judgment. Kind of like a little bit of mindfulness with your creativity. That's kind of what we're trying to do here. While we're on the topic of creating from a place of non-judgment and being in creative flow, my form of creative flow today is filming or recording a voiceover instead of filming me having to talk and get dressed and do all the things. Here's me editing Brianna. Hello. I tend to feel kind of guilty whenever I don't film myself because it's kind of like the norm on YouTube. It's the thing you're expected to do. And I love it. I love watching YouTubers that do show their face and they show up in that way. But, it just goes to show that you don't have to do everything the way everybody else does it or even the way you expect yourself to do it. You can pivot. You can try things creatively, differently, and that is amazing and sometimes better too. So when I started this painting, I first kind of impulsively decided to pull a couple cards to set an intention or figure out what the general vibe of this painting would be, what I would be working through and emotionally putting into the work as I was creating it. And it was so funny like how spot on these cards were. So like to start off, turning in the first card, or traditionally in tarot, it is Four of Cups. If you look at this card, you will notice she's wearing this like really dark magenta like robe and underneath blue, and it is like so similar to the image. I swear I did not do that on purpose. It just hilariously was so similar. And the meaning itself like hit home too with what I was thinking about. So the card turning in comments or describes a woman who is sitting in meditation. She is observing her thoughts without being pulled into them. It has a quote that says, watching the show without being caught in the drama. And when I read that, I was like, yes, I need to do more of that. As creatives that take our, passion so seriously, it can be very easy to get caught up in all these thought loops about making everything perfect or doing it a right way, and you lose the fun and the joy of creating art because you love it. And now with, creativity becoming a profession for so many people, you can almost get indoctrinated into the constant busyness of constantly having to be doing something for you to be valuable. But it's so important. This card speaks to the fact that busyness does not equal productivity. Sometimes stillness is far more productive because it allows you the opportunity to get still and get quiet and listen to your inner voice and really reprioritize if what you're doing is coming from a place of inner happiness and inner passion, and what things can be cut out that aren't actually adding to it. It's by getting quiet you can see that. It's the difference between when you have a day where you're just expecting yourself to get all these things done and they're running around your head, so you just are doing things all over the place as they come up, versus if you were to write a to-do list and you were to prioritize which thing is most important and what would make me feel happiest to accomplish. You can be a whole lot more productive by getting quiet and thinking and sitting with your intuition. When I was envisioning this painting, I saw almost like this woman sitting down having her cup of coffee early in the morning before the rest of the world was awake. Early morning, sitting down with her needs and her thoughts and getting quiet, getting still. And so that feeling, I didn't really have words for it beforehand, was captured perfectly in that tarot card, and amusingly even in some of the composition. I bring this up also because I hear of a lot of people who are creatively blocked or don't feel like they're able to create something, or they don't have inspiration. But when you talk to them about when's the last time they, stopped working or they stopped pushing out content, or when's the last time you sat quietly and really thought about what you want your art about, that moment of stillness, they haven't really had that. They really haven't even invested in themselves. And it takes me back, to stop and think of all these, artists who are so passionately trying to give to other people of their art, of their content, but they're not giving back to themselves. They're not doing the things to make themselves feel secure, to create those things in the first place. In the second card, moment to moment, or traditionally Two of Pentacles, it talks about staying present, another common theme between the last card, and it talks about releasing rigid expectations. It shows a man jumping over stones, not seriously, but at the same time perfectly balanced and alert. Or in other decks, balancing 2 coins, trying to keep them from hitting the ground. I love the way this comments on losing our preoccupation with the past or the future, but being rooted in the here and now. Part of the things that are accounted for in this card is the inevitable chaos of life. Yes, you have to get still. Yes, you need to sit down with yourself. But a part of that is acknowledging that things will always go wrong. Things will always be in motion. Sometimes you'll make paintings and they won't work out. Sometimes life will just get a little out of hand. But there's a comedic humor to it. He's not so serious about it all. It's even if things fall, you pick yourself up and you try again and you laugh it off. Some of the main themes in this card has to do with prioritization and keeping balance among many things happening at once. And it's funny because whenever I think about this card, I always had this negative association with you trying to juggle all these things and everything's going wrong and you can't keep up with everything. At least that's how it felt to me. But the whole, light of it being a learning experience, and it's you learning about your priorities, you learning about your needs. When things fall, it is a lesson to help you get more in touch with yourself, to help you get more still within, so even when everything around you is, movable, you are solid. I really see a link between these 2 cards, and that by getting still and getting quiet and sitting with your internal voice and your, core why, by why you're doing what you're doing, you can stay much more solid whenever things around you start moving all around. I use the constellation for Virgo here. Happy Virgo season, y'all. I am a Virgo rising, if you didn't know. But I used it because of its significance on the, prioritization, organization, and paying attention to your health and wellness. How much that sign has to do with those energies. What rituals do you have in place that set you up to do your best work? That is a very Virgo concept. So I've talked about a lot of concepts, but what's a practical application? So the way I set myself up to create art in a non-judgmental way is I like to clean off my space before I start. I like to start fresh. I like to start clean. I like everything to be organized. I like to get a coffee or get some hot tea together. I like to, in this case, pull a card to see what intention I can bring to that painting. I like to get still. I like to get quiet. If I can, I love to listen to music and really think about expressing whatever emotion is on my mind through my art. And the attitude that I bring to actually painting is not to be afraid to change ideas or let go of ideas, to pivot whenever things aren't necessarily working. Like with this video, I filmed 2 or 3 videos of me talking to the camera and it did not work. And when I changed and I was like, that's okay, it doesn't have to go that way, I can do it a different way, I did this and it was way easier, and I like this video so much more by me releasing the resistance to things being how I expect them to be. Like when I get quiet and I reprioritize to what actually would make me happy right now, whether that means painting something completely different than I originally thought. So my question for you is, when creating art, how do you make the space for yourself to be still and be quiet and actually listen to what your inner why is? How can you exercise that more in your creative process? And my second question is, whenever you are in the process of creating and things go wrong and things get out of hand, how can you try something different or get a little out of the box? How can you release the need for everything to go the exact way that you thought it needed to go when you first started? How can you ease up into a flow? How can you experiment? How can you be a little less serious about it all? It's, not even about making perfect art. It's about enjoying the process of making art in the first place. We're over the miserable, starving artist, depression artist trope. That's not what we're doing here. We're making art because we love making art, because it helps other people and it helps us become better people. You don't have to be overwhelmed and stressed and sad and angry with your art for you to be an artist. Anyways, with that, I guess that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I would love to hear your comments below about, how you take these concepts into your work. Thank you. Bye.